pause for a moment and listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you may explain years of misunderstandings, broken connections, and the silent distance people create around you. For the next 10 seconds, imagine this. People aren't avoiding you because you're wrong, loud, or difficult. They're pulling away because your presence, your quiet strength, hits them in places they don't want to face. They don't fear you. They fear what you make them feel. Let's talk about the truth no one says out loud. Sometimes you intimidate people without even realizing it. Not because you're harsh, but because you're honest. Not because you're cold, but because you refuse to shrink. Not because you're arrogant, but because you carry a sense of self that others are still searching for. And here's the part that stings. You've probably spent years thinking something was wrong with you, wondering why people hold their breath around you, why they choose distance over depth, why they avoid eye contact when you're just trying to connect. But nothing is wrong with you. Not one thing. You simply walk through the world with a kind of grounded confidence and emotional clarity, a presence that makes insecure people uncomfortable. And without knowing it, you hold up a mirror that reveals their unhealed parts. That's the real source of their intimidation. So before we unravel the 8 signs, I want you to take a deep breath and let this truth settle in your bones. Your strength is not a flaw. Your presence is not too much. Your honesty is not a weapon. You know the moment the room gets a little quieter when you walk in. People start choosing their words like they're stepping on thin ice. And the funny thing, you're not even doing anything. You're there. Here's the truth most people won't admit out loud. Your silence unsettles them. Not because it's empty, but because it's powerful. You don't fill every moment with noise. You don't rush to explain yourself. You don't overshare to make others comfortable. And that stillness, that grounded, steady presence exposes everything they try to hide behind chatter. When someone is insecure, your silence feels like a spotlight. It makes them wonder what you're thinking. It makes them fear your judgment even when you're not judging at all. It makes them project their own doubts onto you because they can't read you the way they read everyone else. People who depend on external validation don't know how to handle someone who doesn't chase approval. So they start second guessing every word they say around you. And they mistake your calm for criticism, your quiet for disapproval, your reflection for rejection. But here's the part you need to hear. Your silence is not a weapon. It's clarity. You're not intimidating people on purpose. You're simply not performing for anyone. And in a world where everyone is desperately trying to be seen, someone who doesn't need attention can feel like a threat. The people who are meant for you will understand this energy. They won't fear your silence. They'll respect it. There's a moment you've seen again and again. You speak your truth gently, clearly, without raising your voice. And suddenly the air shifts. People stiffen. Eyes widen. Someone swallows hard like your words were too heavy to carry. And you're left wondering, what did I do wrong? But here's the thing, you didn't do anything wrong. Some people simply aren't ready for the kind of honesty you live by. Your truth-telling isn't brutal. It isn't loud. It isn't reckless. It's just real. And realness, raw, unfiltered truth, can feel like a direct hit to someone who has spent years hiding behind denial, excuses, and emotional armor. Most people avoid honesty because it demands growth. It demands responsibility. It demands self-awareness. And when you speak, you unknowingly shine a light on things they've kept buried. Your honesty makes them see themselves more clearly than they want to. It exposes the gap between who they pretend to be and who they actually are. It forces them to feel feelings they've tried so hard to outrun. So they don't get intimidated by your words. They get intimidated by the truth inside your words. They call you too direct, too intense, too much. But what they really mean is, I'm not ready for the version of myself you bring out. You're not hurting people with honesty. You're waking them up. And not everyone wants to be awake. When someone is secure, your truth will feel like clarity, not confrontation. You don't walk into a room trying to impress anyone. You don't need applause. You don't need permission. You carry yourself with a quiet confidence that comes from surviving things most people never talk about. But here's the uncomfortable truth: insecure people often mistake your confidence for dominance. They see the way you stand steady. They hear the way you speak certain. They watch the way you move, purposeful. And instead of feeling inspired, they feel exposed. Your confidence reminds them of the places where they're still small. It highlights their hesitations, their fears, their inner battles. And because they can't name it, they label you as intimidating. You don't brag, yet they feel overshadowed. You don't demand attention, yet they feel seen. You don't try to lead, yet people naturally follow you. Why? Because confidence, real confidence, isn't loud. It's calm, it's composed, it's rooted. And that kind of energy rattles people who rely on masks to feel valuable. Here's what most won't admit: your confidence confronts their insecurities without saying a single word. It whispers, "You could be more," and that terrifies them. So they pull back or become defensive or create distance to protect themselves from feelings they've never confronted. But the ones who are aligned with you, the ones who have done their own inner work, they'll see your confidence as an invitation, not a threat. They'll rise with you, not retreat from you. You don't intimidate everyone. Only the ones still battling the parts of themselves they refuse to face. There's a shift that happens the moment you set a boundary, a pause, a sudden tension in the air, like someone just realized their old tricks won't work on you anymore. Because here's the truth: nothing intimidates manipulative or insecure people more than a person who knows their limits and protects them. You say no without guilt. You say, "I'm not okay with that," without trembling. You say, "This is where I stop," without apologizing. And to someone who benefits from your silence, your softness, or your self-sacrifice, your boundaries feel like an attack. But you're not attacking them. You're simply honoring yourself. People who rely on manipulation need access to your time, your energy, your kindness, your effort. And when you finally close the door they've taken for granted, they suddenly feel powerless. And instead of admitting their behavior, they label you as intimidating, cold, distant, or hard to deal with. But here's what's actually happening: your boundaries are revealing their intentions. Your self-respect is exposing their patterns. Your clarity is shining a light on the parts of them they didn't want you to see. Healthy people celebrate your boundaries. Insecure people fear them. Manipulative people hate them because boundaries protect you, but they also reveal who someone really is. And that revelation, that's what intimidates them. Not you. The truth your boundaries expose. You're not difficult. You're just unavailable to the wrong people. There's a moment people experience with you that they can never quite explain, the moment they realize you're not fooled by their performance. You notice the shift in their tone. You catch the hesitation behind their smile. You sense the truth hiding behind their excuses. And that terrifies them. Because here's the reality: you see people clearly, sometimes more clearly than they see themselves. You pick up on energy. You feel emotional undercurrents. You hear the parts of a sentence that were never spoken. You notice inconsistencies others overlook. You don't do this intentionally. Your intuition just runs deeper than most people are comfortable with. And when someone lives behind a mask, your ability to read them feels like a threat. You make them feel exposed without ever calling them out. You make them feel seen without demanding they reveal anything. You make them aware of their own shadows simply by existing in the same room. People who aren't ready to be honest with themselves or with others feel unsafe around that level of awareness. They think, what else can they see? What if they figure out what I've been hiding? What if they can tell I'm pretending? You don't intimidate them with words. You intimidate them with truth, with the kind of perception that can't be manipulated, with a presence that invites authenticity, whether someone is ready for it or not. The right people will appreciate this. They'll feel understood, not exposed, sin not judged. The wrong people, they'll pull away the moment they realize you can't be deceived. There's something about you that makes certain people deeply uncomfortable. You don't need their approval to feel grounded. You don't need their compliments to feel worthy. You don't rely on attention to feel alive. And in a world where people chase validation like oxygen, your self-sufficiency is intimidating. Because here's the truth. When you're not dependent on external validation, you become uncontrollable. People can't manipulate you with praise. They can't influence you with silence. They can't sway you with the fear of rejection. You don't twist yourself into shapes to fit someone's expectations. You stay rooted in who you are. And that scares the people who measure their worth through the eyes of others. You see, when someone is insecure, your independence feels like rejection. Your self-trust feels like defiance. Your stability feels like emotional distance. They wonder, why aren't they trying to impress me? Why aren't they reacting to my opinions? Why don't they seem affected by criticism? Because your validation comes from within, from the work you've done, from the storms you've survived, from the peace you've built. Your energy doesn't fluctuate based on who approves of you. Your identity doesn't crumble when someone disagrees with you. You don't rise or fall depending on who claps for you. And that level of inner security, it's rare, it's powerful, it's magnetic. And to the wrong people, it's intimidating. The right ones will respect your self-worth. The wrong ones will resent it. You've noticed it many times. Someone comes to you with chaos, drama, or emotional explosions, and instead of matching their intensity, you stay calm, grounded, steady. And that calmness, the emotional maturity you've earned through pain, healing, and self-awareness often intimidates people who are still ruled by their triggers. Because here's the truth, emotional maturity exposes emotional immaturity instantly. When someone is used to winning arguments through anger, your composure disarms them. When someone is used to manipulating with guilt, your clarity stops them. When someone expects you to react impulsively, your patience frustrates them. You don't get dragged into unnecessary conflicts. You don't crumble when someone raises their voice. You don't let your emotions hijack your values. And that level of emotional discipline feels like power to people who haven't learned it yet. They confuse your calm with superiority. They mistake your peace for pride. They see your emotional balance as a threat because it reveals their lack of it. Your maturity forces them to confront their impulsiveness, their reactivity, their fear, their unresolved wounds. And instead of rising to meet you, some people retreat, not because you're wrong, but because they aren't ready to rise. But here's what you must remember. Your emotional maturity isn't just strength, it's safety. It's the reason people trust you, open up to you, and feel grounded in your presence. Those who are emotionally evolved will feel at home with your calmness. The rest will feel exposed by it. There's a spark in you that can't be dimmed. Fire that fuels your purpose, your creativity, your growth. You move through life with intention. You chase goals. You invest in yourself. And that energy, it makes certain people uncomfortable. Here's the truth. Your passion unintentionally shines a light on the parts of others they've been neglecting. When someone is stuck in complacency or fear, your drive becomes a mirror. It reminds them of dreams abandoned, courage ignored, or potential wasted. And because they don't want to feel that discomfort, they call you intimidating. They see the way you handle challenges, relentless, focused, unwavering, and it terrifies them. They watch your growth and think, why am I still standing still? They witness your confidence and wonder, why don't I have that? You aren't trying to make anyone feel small. You're not showing off. You're simply honoring your own life, your own potential, your own journey. But for some, your forward momentum feels like a judgment on their stagnation. The people who fear your fire are often the ones avoiding their own. Your energy calls them to rise, but they aren't ready. Here's the gift of awareness. Recognize that intimidation is not a reflection of weakness in you. It's a reflection of where others are in their growth. You are not the problem. You are a living reminder of what is possible, and that's more powerful than anyone else will ever admit. So here's the truth I want you to carry with you. Intimidation is not a flaw. It's a reflection of your authenticity, your strength, and your clarity. All the signs we've explored. The silence that unsettles. The honesty that exposes. The confidence that overshadows. The boundaries that protect. The intuition that sees. The self-reliance that amazes. The emotional maturity that grounds. And the passion that inspires. None of them are mistakes. They are your power. You may have spent years questioning why people pull away or why your presence makes others uneasy. You may have tried to tone yourself down, to soften your edges, to shrink so others could feel comfortable. But that is not your purpose. Your purpose is not to fit into someone else's comfort zone. Your purpose is to live fully, unapologetically, and with courage. The people who matter will not fear your presence. They will be drawn to it. They will match your energy, honor your boundaries, and respect your truth. And those who feel intimidated are simply not ready for the full light of your authenticity. And that's okay. It's not your responsibility to dim yourself for anyone else. So walk forward with pride. Speak your truth. Hold your boundaries. Trust your intuition. Chase your passions. Own your strength. Because the world needs your kind of energy, bold, grounded, and fearless. And the moment you accept that, the weight of others' fear lifts. You are not intimidating, you are powerful. And power, when wielded with authenticity and heart, is a gift. Own it, shine with it, and never apologize for it.